Hey everybody, wanted to talk about how to set up your YZ250X for single track. Now if you're doing just pure hard enduro, crawling through creek beds, you'll probably want something with electric start. But if you're doing a little bit of hard enduro, a lot of single track in the mountains, the 250X is a great platform for that. So we're going to talk about 6 must-do mods to your bike to make it worthy for single track. These are nothing crazy, but really good ones to do. So the first mod or improvement that you're going to want to do to the 250X is get your jetting sorted. These bikes are a little bit different than other two-strokes in that the key and carb comes with a power jet inside of it. The power jet comes on a little bit later in the power. It squirts a lot of fuel in, but it makes the rest of the jetting really funky. It doesn't idle very well, etc. So there is a 40 power jet recipe that Tim King came up with. He's the owner of Hitlis, and it really just balances out all the circuits in the carburetor, makes the bike run better, smoother, idles better. It's just all around better. I'll flash a chart up here on the screen of my specs that I do based on elevation. Now keep in mind that these specs are only with the 40 power jet. Don't do it with the 50 or the newer bikes that come with the 55 power jet. It's going to be all over the place. So that's the first thing you're going to want to do is get that jetting sorted and go from there. The next thing I recommend doing to these bikes is getting the Hitlis power valve system. That is going to really smooth out the power curve, and not only smooth it out, but just give you more control throughout the power curve. What it does is it's going to remove that big hit that you get. Some people love the hit, but it makes the bike really uncontrollable in single track and other situations. So the Hitlis smooths that out, makes it so you can control the whole mid-range before you kind of are on or off the power. I made a video about this, so go back and look at that. But it really just makes the bike so much more controllable when you're flowing through single track in the mountains, even just going through some hard enduro situations. The bike doesn't want to just flare up and go out of control. As well, when you're slowing down into a corner or going down hills, or even just cruising a fire road between sections of trail, it's way smoother. The bike's not jerking around. So I really recommend that mod. It's a huge benefit. The third thing I recommend is to get the head sorted out, the cylinder head. On the X model, it comes with a really low compression cylinder head. It is not any good whatsoever. You lose a lot of bottom end power and power overall. So whatever you do, fix that. Now I would recommend the most budget friendly option is to just get your stock head milled down 25 thousandths, and that will make it the same as the motocross version, which is has just a lot more compression. It works better. So there's a couple different markings on the head that you'll notice. The 250X stock head says 5MW, and it has a BF1 ink stamp on it. So once you mill that 25 thousandths off, it's actually just a 5MW head, which is an MX head, which has a volume of 21.5 cc's. Now, if you want to go with an aftermarket head or whatever, that's fine too, but whatever you do, get rid of that stock X head. It's no good. Make sure you're aiming for somewhere around 21.5 cc's of volume in that head. That will get you a good compression ratio that you want, and it'll make it a lot better. Just whatever you do, get rid of that stock head or mill it down, and your bike will run a lot better. The fourth thing is to get your gearing sorted. When you're running a single track or a mix of hard enduro and single track, the 1450 gearing on the stock bike is far too high. Some people will go 2 teeth up on the back. My preferred setup is to just drop 1 tooth on the front sprocket, which gives you a 1350. It's really good. You can still cruise on a road at about 45 miles an hour easily. You can go faster than that, but it's comfortably cruise at 45. So it's still not too bad if you're running single track. Now if you're running out in the desert still, 1450 is probably better for that. But get that gearing sorted. It's really cheap. You can get a sprocket for under 20 bucks, and then you'll have a really good gearing there. The fifth item is to do the clutch lever mod. So Everybody complains that these bikes don't have a hydraulic clutch. It's really not a big deal. The clutch pull is really light on these, on X models. You can modify the clutch lever. I have a video on that. I'll link it in the description. But what that does is you're just changing the ratio point on the lever, which makes the pull significantly lighter. And my clutch is actually lighter than many hydraulic clutches of my friends' bikes. It's really light pull. Just helps with that hand fatigue after a long day riding Singletrack or some hard enduro. So get that done. It's cheap. You just have to have a drill bit, and that's it. The sixth one that I recommend is the GYTR Flywheel. The reason I like that is because it just helps with the low end stalling and crawlability of the bike. I just like the more mellow and less stalling at the bottom end. I just like the way that the bike feels with the GYTR on there. So see what you prefer. The other mods I would definitely recommend. The flywheel is going to be up to your discretion, but I definitely like the way that the flywheel weight feels. It really mellows out that bottom end and helps it prevent the stalling at the bottom end. And then one honorable mention is on these bikes, mine's a 2016. It comes with a 2.1 gallon tank. Now the newer bikes come with like a 1.8 gallon tank. So if you're riding longer miles, you're gonna need a bigger fuel tank. So I'd recommend getting a bigger fuel tank if you are going to ride longer miles. If you aren't, you don't need one. So that's why it's kind of an honorable mention. You may or may not want it. As well as some of the mods that I recommend, there's also some things that aren't worth your money, that aren't worth your time. People that are always putting like Boyesen reeds or V-Force reeds on the bike. The stock reeds on this bike are really good. And the amount of gains you're gonna get from swapping out the reeds is very minimal. You'll hardly notice a difference at all, if any, and you're spending a lot of money for them. So don't worry about that. You don't need it. It's not going to do you any benefit. It's not going to make your bike suddenly way more powerful. Doing the head and the hitless and your jetting, those are going to give you way more performance for your buck than reeds ever will. Reeds are just going to be a waste of money, honestly. For us average Joes, weekend warriors going out there riding single track and some hard enduro, you really don't need it. Next one is exhaust. So people are always like putting gnarly pipes on, fatty pipes, trying different pipe combinations. You really don't need it. There's not much to be gained from that. You're not going to see huge power gains from that. So just stick with the stock pipe. I have to run a spark arrestor, so I have a Pro Circuit 296 spark arrestor on there. You're not going to get a lot for it. For single track and hard enduro, there's really no benefit. Now, motocross guys, they may get some benefit from certain pipes, but don't waste your money. It's not worth it. The third one I have down here is aftermarket carburetors, like a Smart Carb or Electron. They're fancy, cool. A lot of times people want to try it because they don't want to mess with it. But in my experience, everybody that's had one has had to mess with it a lot to get it to set up right. If you just follow that jetting chart that I showed, your bike's gonna run better, quicker than if you bought an aftermarket carb. Those carbs can be a pain to set up sometimes, and they're wicked expensive. I mean, you're spending upwards $800, $850 for one of those, which for me, there's no performance gain. You're not going to feel a huge performance gain in the bike. You're not going to be more power or anything like that. The stock carburetor is really good. Stick with that, save your money, just follow that jetting chart. One of the reasons I tried the YZ250X was for its simplicity and reliability. It's by far been the most reliable bike I've had. I've had KTM's Beta, and this is hands down the most reliable bike. It always works. I've never had any breakages out on the trail, whereas other bikes I have had issues. So it works every time. It's a lot of fun too. So that's one of the reasons I've kept it for so long. This is actually the bike I've kept the longest. Usually I kept bikes about 2 or 3 years. I've had this one for 5 years, actually over 5 years now. It's just a ton of fun to ride. But this one's really lively, fun. The chassis is really good. I just have a lot of fun on it. It's a good bike. Obviously the YZ250X is not specifically designed for, you know, mountain single track or hard enduro situations like maybe a KTM Beta or Sherco is. But with a few small tweaks, you know, spend maybe $500-600, you have a pretty awesome bike that's going to do everything that you need it to do. It's going to do it well, and you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to save money in the long run because it's really reliable, and it's just a good time out on the trails. Let me know if there's anything I missed in this list or anything that you guys like to do to your bike, and we'll see you on the next one.